Hey everyone, it's Todd.
And I'm Jeff.
We're two lifelong friends who decided we want to make a movie together, and I wanted to let everyone know we're actually starting a podcast as well that's going to tell all about the struggles and the triumphs and the lessons that we've learned along the way during the movie making process.
From writing the script to finding the cast to shooting the scenes and to editing the final product, you, the listener, will have behind-the-scenes access.
Plus, along the way, we'll be interviewing industry professionals to get their take on the whole process as well. So if you've ever wanted to make a movie on your own, this new podcast is for you. Make sure to head out to your favorite podcasting delivery service and look for Jeff and Todd Make a Movie and hit the follow button.
On today's Man of the Apes, Todd, we're going to work it out with Shelley. The marriage will work.
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, the daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies 1 minute at a time. I am Todd. I am jubilant because it's the next to last day of this movie.
So close. We're at the penultimate minute.
You know, penultimate. That's funny because I never heard that term, at least I felt like in my life, until this current media cycle we're always talking about.
Almost the last thing.
And it was almost like, when did this become what it is? So here it is, the penultimate moment of this film. Sean, why don't you tell us where we start and where we end? Because I am on the edge of my fucking seat.
All right, we start minute 119 with additional medics Nashold and Jeff Arwine, and ends with Graphics Supervisor Simon Staines.
All right, we're going to roll. There's our house music again. We have a set medic. I guess you always have to have them. That's weird. You want to talk about the weird thing to credit somebody for, a set medic?
Because hopefully you will never have to use it.
But didn't Celebon her get attacked at one point?
Oh,
that's true.
That's right, by
music editors.
Pericles.
Music editing is a skill that is amazing.
Then we got the main title sequence. That that armor that we saw.
But it's that same guy that has worked with Burton through numerous films that you remember off the top of it.
Yep.
Because I thought it looked like a little bit like the Sweeney Todd credits, and it does. Electricians, Abby Wolf. Wool. Excuse me. Her name is so close to the way my daughter spells it, but without the Y. Which you want to piss Abby off. Go when she orders coffee and they don't ask how to spell it and they just do BBY. I'm like, dude, there are things to be pissed off in the world, and that's not one of them. The Washington, D.C. unit. So they actually shot it on location.
Cian Jackson? Do we have a Cian Jackson here?
All right, that's the end of that. So as I teased yesterday, there's a little bit of information out there on how it was perceived after the film came out. Let me jump to the point. Shortly after the film, Roth, Bonham Carter, Colleen Atwood, and Rick Makeup received nominations at the Saturn Awards. That would have been for supporting actor for both Roth and Bonham Carter, Colleen Atwood for costume, and Rick Baker for makeup. Atwood and Baker were nominated at the 55th British Academy Film Awards, while composer Danny Elfman was nominated for his work at the 43rd Grammy Awards. Planet of the Apes won the worst remake at the 22nd Golden Raspberry Awards, while Heston and Estella Warren also won awards. So her performance, degradation of her career and the attack on her began shortly after. People were ready to jump on that she was horrible. I don't think it's her fault.
She can only do
I don't
what she's given.
She didn't have any dialogue.
And she
there
didn't
were
have
moments that she just had no dialogue. They didn't write anything for her. They didn't write anything for Marky Mark, where there's just moments where like he didn't even get his concluding line for the film.
No,
his concluding line for the film was like, "I'm coming in hot."
No, it
was.
That is true. The last things you heard were hit. But how can you give her lines when she doesn't even have a character? She doesn't have a place in this world. She doesn't have an opinion in this world. Every character has to have an opinion. Did they not? If you're going to... Han Solo Is Han Solo because he blasts Greedo and he doesn't care, yet all he wants is the money. That is his fucking character. And if you take that away from him, Harrison Ford would be considered to be awful. Why is he so glee and happy when everything's going wrong in this world? You can't not give a character a stance. And they don't give her shit.
But does Han Solo have a stance?
Since Greedo shot first.
Yeah,
now.
I know. That's the question.
And that gets into that's.
Did you see how Steven Spielberg came out and said he wished he had not taken all the guns out of E.T.?
But you also see how his wording was: films from past era should reflect their times, and they should not be doctored to reflect
Modern
current sensibilities. And I thought, okay, that was really good of you to say, don't fuck with films, but not to shit on your best buddy there.
Yeah.
Because look,
I know art is never finished; it's just abandoned. But at some point, you got to stop.
well, and also when you realize that I know we're not a Star Wars podcast, but Star Wars is a mix of all. Great, this can be films across the board. It's a mix of different tropes, right? Star Wars takes religious samurai films, takes space adventures, it takes romantic films, and it takes spaghetti westerns. And it mashes them all together and it makes what it is. And that's why anytime you ever hear someone say it's just a ripoff of that, you've just taken the same thing. At least it did what it did. Like this film, it didn't take anything from other genres. And if I'm going to create a Stella, she should have been a character that maybe she's a Princess Leia type, where she's actually a bit of a ball buster.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been interesting.
We know nothing about her tribe.
Nothing.
We don't even know if that is her brother or her son or whoever that kid is.
Cousin, yeah.
They didn't even get.
maybe it's
Chris
her lover.
Christopherson, her dad, her brother.
That's the only thing we knew was that her dad. That was her dad. That's the only thing.
But do we know that for definitively sure? It's just sort of insinuated. Did they ever say
I don't think they ever said any relationships except for the fact that Ari was the senator's daughter. I think that's only our real familial relationships.
They didn't set any of these characters up.
But I also understand then why fans are looking for points to blame when the thing is a mess and you can't, why did they put Charlton Heston in here? It's pretty obvious why you put him in, and you put him in a moment where he really doesn't bring anything to the story outside the fact that he's doing a counter argument to what he's famous for.
And that's just so intentional when it's not even the point of the movie.
Yeah.
It's really kind of just shameful of them to make him do that or to get him to do that when it's not even impactful to what's happening for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, you own the conservative or whatever that phrase is.
Yeah.
But it didn't need to be there. It didn't need to be there at all. You had an opportunity to use him, and that's how you wasted it.
I wish there were compelling things to talk about with this film. I think that it's a missed opportunity to talk about religion. I think I'm not a religious person, but I think any discussion of religion is always fascinating. Why do we need construed ideas of what hope is? Why do we need what virtue is? Why do we need these things? And they don't touch on it outside of that it's there. Mm-hmm. It's there conveniently so I can set up that the monkey Jesus was there.
Right.
And that's about it. And I feel like that's the truth of every element of this film. It's sort of there because I need it to be there.
There were times talking about, was it Planet or Beneath, where there were just so many themes.
Planet is where we talked about almost too many themes.
Almost too many themes. We want to pull back, but they had meaning. They had meaning to the
100%.
film.
Every time they got to it, it's like, man, I just feel like they're kind of going off, but that's a compelling argument.
Right.
And it's why I almost look back on that film. The more we get distant from it,
the better
more
it
I'm
is.
like, shit, that's the best film of them all. That is it. To me, it's like I look at it and Escape, and I think both of them brought complete arguments to their point of the world. Mm-hmm. After that, it dissolves into whatever it is. And this that it's dissolved into is the cesspool that lays in the gutter of the Planet of the Apes films.
I like cash grab.
Has anybody got anything else? I think that tomorrow at least we get to talk about where we're going from here. It gets to get exciting. So if you guys are okay, I'm going to wrap it for today because I'm excited to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah, to wrap it up.
All right. That is it. We'll be back one more minute. We will tease where we're going. We'll kind of try to talk about how, as we always do, what our production schedule is. Everyone knows this the way this goes. We talk about that production schedule, and it doesn't always hold true. But we're going to tell you what we're going to try to do. So, everyone, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.